vandalize the local streets.
Right.
And
Well, I got some nasty letters and phone calls when I admitted Daniel Valentine to the seminary. He was first black.
Did he didn't graduate?
No, he wasn't a degree student. He just came in and took some courses.
Who was the first degree?
The first degree student, Willie Harrison.
Okay, I thought that he was...
He's the only black. I believe I'm right in this. That's gotten a degree so far. Now we've got some here now that we'll get now. So.
Yeah. Well, what about women? Now, Annie Ackerman was the first degree.
So you see, this is rather recent too.
Now,
as far as I know, the only women students here at the seminary, say prior to 1959, would be that the wives of some of the students on a few occasions come in and audit some courses.
So that wasn't extremely unusual.
Well, they did some auditing.
That was my impression. That was good.
Right.
What about student government and student activities? Was that a recent development?
For example, when I was a student here, we had no government.
Did you have representation on the Board of Trustees?
No.
That's come in. When do you think that's come out?
You know, I can't say what year it was. Somebody could look back through the faculty minutes. Loris or somebody maybe could do some research for you or something. But it would be about when. I would say that the student governments, you know, began to get underway probably. I came here to Dean in '59. I don't believe there's any student government organization really.
So it must have been during the 60s.
I don't believe it was. I don't believe it was.
Well, that'll narrow it down so I can search.
In the 60s. Okay. Certainly in any substantial form that you could put your finger on, really. Active organization. So this is a rather recent thing. And it's quite recent to have students sitting in on faculty meetings and this sort of thing. In other words, this type of organization is rather recent.
What about the publication of comments?
All right.
What happened to it?
It lasted just a while, you know. When was that, in the 60s?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know why it petered out as soon as it did. I thought that it was a pretty good thing. I don't know whether you've seen any copies of it.
Yeah, I've seen the copies of it. I think it is.
I felt like, you know, it was a good project. I guess the trouble was that just the difficulty of getting somebody to head it up. Everybody's so busy.
Well, we're
getting people to completely volunteer, you know, no paid employee or anything connected with it. Just the difficulty of getting somebody to give the time and the trouble to keep it going. I thought it was a worthwhile project.
The few have tried to get something that, not exactly like that started, but something started. And it's that same problem. Nobody really wants. Everybody here is interested in it. All the students want it.
Right.
But none of the students really want to work on it.
Well, that'd be my reason, you know, as to why it didn't last.
What about Guyan too? I think it would be nice. What about the program with PSCE? That still goes on today, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's still a program. It's still going on, and we haven't had many students, you know, to take advantage of it. And the Ackerman did.
What was the real purpose behind getting that started? Was it to increase enrollment or to increase the DCEs in the church?
Well, all of that entered into it, I would say. It's felt that it probably would increase enrollment by bringing here, you know, a good many young ladies in particular, like Annie Ackerman, who would do a part of their study here and then go to Richmond and finish. that had something to do with it. I do feel like it was thought, you know, that would probably increase the number of PCEs. Also, I think the desire to enter into some kind of a cooperative arrangement with another school had a whole lot to do with it. The idea was that it would help Erskine Seminary to be involved with another school of higher learning and have this sort of arrangement with them. But very few people have taken advantage of this. And what I was saying that on the last point was that the American Association of Theological Schools has encouraged seminaries like Erskine to enter into arrangements like we have with PSCE.
Okay, one more question. Would you want to comment on the future of Erskine Seminary?
Main concern. They're trying to connect that concern with the future. I have to say, you know, I'm pretty pessimistic. I don't have any reason to believe this morning that we're going to witness a substantial increase in the number of ARP students here at Erskine Seminary in the near future. Now, I wish I could see something here this morning talking to you. I wish I could come up with some evidence that would enable me to believe that we're going to have an increase, substantial increase in ARP. I don't see it.
Well, do you think the seminary has a future?
I think it has a future as a service institution. And by service institution, I mean providing theological education for many theological students of other persuasions who would never go to a theological seminary.
Would you see that having a seminary is vital for the ARP church?
All right, this is an interesting question. I've said through the years, Maynard, that I considered it essential for the ARP church to have a theological seminary. And I've said on many occasions through the years to the board and the people, other people, that I felt like that the life of the seminary was, and the life of denomination, was so inseparably intertwined and interrelated and so forth that you really can't have one without the other.
You still?
I may be having second thoughts. I'm not so sure that I would state that. It may still be that if we do away with this seminary, that it would do away with this social reform Presbyterian church eventually. I'm not sure anymore, though. I'm not as strong on that as I once was. I guess it's because we're just constantly confronted with this fact of the extremely small number of ARP students we get. I guess this is what's making me have second thought.
Well, is there anything else you want to add that I haven't covered that you think I ought to know about over your years as a student or faculty member?
Well, I think you've raised excellent questions. It's given me the opportunity to talk on what I consider to be the major development taking place here. And I might make just a few concluding remarks to kind of wrap it up. Because I'm finishing out 21 years of labor here at the seminary, 17 years as dean and professor, 4 years as professor only. So I've had experience in theological education here at Erskine, covering all of the 60s. Came here in the fall of '59. So So I've been here throughout the 60s and throughout the 70s, which is 2 decades. And these have been very difficult years for theological seminaries, especially in conservative denominations. Because in these years we passed through the 60s, roaring 60s, revolutionary 60s, in which you had all of your social revolutions taking place. I'm simply saying that it's been a very difficult era for a conservative theological seminary, for a seminary which is committed to enlightened scholarship in a conservative context. It's been a time in which conservative denominations have been divided between liberals and conservatives. The conservatives, you know, trying to hold on to the old things and being afraid of the new things that came on the scene in the revolutionary 60s, immigration and so forth. So it's been a very difficult time for theological seminaries in a conservative context, like ours is. And this means that in a seminary that's trying to be open in a revolutionary age, comes to be one of the principal targets for people who have trouble with revolutionary thinking and with new thinking. So it's been a time in which in some quarters the seminary has been roundly criticized. At the same time, when I look back over these 20 years, we've always had a whole lot of people, even in our conservative denomination, who have supported our openness here at the seminary. And rightly or wrongly, I came to the conclusion that our supporters outnumbered our critics. And that by and large, the ministers of our church and the lay people appreciated what we were trying to do here. So I myself, you know, as dean of the school, was very conscious of the strong attacks that were leveled at the seminary in some quarters. At the same time, I was always encouraged to keep on, you know, and try to maintain what I call a constructive kind of conservatism stance. I was encouraged to keep on with this sort of thing by strong support on the part of many of our ministers and many of our lay people. I feel like that substantial progress has been made in the seminary, especially in regard to improvement in the library, in regard to the faculty, not reflecting upon any who have taught me in the past. But actually, it was not until rather recent years that you had people coming to teach here who have received special training in the areas in which they're called upon to teach. This is a new development. To have somebody teaching theology who has taken advanced study in theology. To have somebody teaching Bible who has taken advanced study in Bible. This is rather recent development. Erskine Seminary. The only teacher that I had while I was a student here who had had advanced study in the field in which he was teaching was W. Morris. No, well, Kennedy. They sent Kennedy off But it was just about that time, you know, toward the end of Dr. Boyce's, he himself had gone to get some training. Then Kennedy did, but the other faculty members who were teaching here had not gone off to get special training in their disciplines. I'm saying that a well-trained faculty, in the sense in which I'm now speaking, is a rather recent problem. So I take pride, you know, in the improvement in the library, and in the improvement in the quality of the faculty. I take pride in the fact that the seminary has maintained an open attitude and an open stance in regard to recent revolutionary developments. I take pride in the fact that the doors of this school are open to blacks and to females and to foreign students. I'm not saying that all of these would have been excluded before, but I'm just simply saying that I am delighted that now, you know, we make it very clear that the doors of this school are open to blacks in particular, to females too, you know, so I take pride in this. It's a source of gratification to me that this is true. I'm impressed with the fact that this school has, through the years, been spoken well of by the non-ARP people in general who come to study here. Sometimes I've gotten the impression, you know, that the people who say the best things about us are the non-ARP students who come here. I've had any number of Baptist students to tell me, you know, people who've studied at, say, at Southeastern, they just sing the praises of Erskine Seminary. I can point out any number of Assemblies of God people who come here that sing the praises of Erskine Seminary.
I've heard that too from the recent students who
Okay,
come to the
this
seminary.
goes back through all the years that I've been teaching here. And it kind of renders ridiculous the charge that many ARPs make against us, that we've just gotten way out in left field and departed substantially, you know, from orthodoxy and this sort of thing. By and large, the non-ARPs who have come here speak very favorably of us, and you yourself say you've seen that.
Sure.
Well, that's an interesting thing. In other words, this ties in with what I was saying a few minutes ago, that I think the real place for Erskine Seminary is a service institution, providing good theological education for a lot of people. My main concern, I end up with this, my main concern is that we would have more ARP students here. And the only suggestion I can make is we've got to get over, some way or other, we've got to get over this fight that tears us apart. And that all of the pastors and all the pulpits, the ARP Church, have got to present the claims of the gospel ministry to the young people, and have got to encourage people who say yes to the call to at least give serious consideration to attending Erskine Theological Seminary. As long as we've got maybe 40% of our pastors, that's just a figure pulled out of a hat. I'm using it for an illustration. As long as we've got about 40% of our pastors who would do anything before they would encourage a young person in their parishes to attend Erskine Seminary, I don't see much hope for substantially increasing the number of ARP students at this school. So I see the problem as going right down to the local church situation and the attitude of the pastor. I think in talking with people who have decided to be preachers through the years, it's usually the influence of the pastor about as much as anything else that is a determining factor, humanly speaking. As long as you've got a whole lot of pastors who are negative to Erskine Seminary and not encouraging the people to come to Erskine Seminary, I'm pretty pessimistic about increasing the ARP enrollment here.
As one who came from outside the denomination, it was just, it never entered my mind to go anywhere else but Erskine. Because becoming an ARP minister, it just seemed like the natural thing to do.
It does, that
ARP seminary.
That's the way it ought to be. That's a good way to put it. That's the way I see it. Until all of us, come to have that philosophy. A lot of people are going to go elsewhere. Enrollment's going to stay small. ARP enrollment's going to stay small. I observed this. There's a whole lot of I go so far as to say that most of the young people I know now who are deciding to go into the ministry and who are deciding to be foreign missionaries, and I'm picking this up from my experience on the board of World Mission. Most of the people who now seem to be going into what we call, erroneously, but we call it full-time Christian service, are coming from what I would call the most conservative quarters. I'm not talking about everybody now. Because that wouldn't be true. This great number of people who went to Reformed Seminary. In fact, all the candidates that the World Mission Board is now getting to go to Pakistan and Mexico, extremely conservative people. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why that is.
Makes one wonder about the implications for that 10 years, 20 years from now.
Right. And you asked about the future, this sort of thing begins to come into my mind. Getting back to this business you were talking about a little while back about so many some of the people not coming to the lectures and so forth. I feel like, in selecting speakers, that we've made an honest effort to bring in conservative speakers, as well as some who are not so conservative, in an effort to try to have a broader appeal. And this still doesn't seem to work very well.
It seems that for some people, what pleases them most is that they're not pleased. Mm-hmm. They like controversy, they like to complain. It seems like you can just never please them.
Well, you yourself know that since you've been here, we've brought in some conservative speakers at these conferences. My position on that has been to have some of various schools of thought.
I think it's been well balanced.
Well, we've tried to balance it. That's
for a small school. I think we've done well with continuing education.
Tried to balance. Well, we certainly had a conservative speaker here at the missions conference this year, announced evangelical. Stuart Briscoe is considered to be a conservative, but they still don't come much.
Dr. Rubel suggested, and maybe he's right, so many people wouldn't come, even if Jesus Christ was the speaker.
Well, it may be.
After he said that, he changed it to Paul. I'm not sure why he did that. But he's probably right. Dr. Allison, I appreciated your
Well, I've
time.
shared some of my concerns with you, some of my joys, some of my sorrows. Appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
And I'm glad to think back over it, you know, and talk it out some with you. Be of help to you. You're welcome to use it any way you want to use it.
Thank you. I may come back by and answer a few questions before it's over with.
Anytime. Okay. Enjoyed talking with you.